My presentation is on genetically modified plants in agriculture. So I would like to start with just talking about what a genetically modified plant is. A genetically modified plant is just a plant that contains DNA, which has been altered using genetic engineering. And these are fairly common when it comes to today's food supply. Um, and these GMOs are rapidly increasing in usage because, as you can see in that top left graph, that a massive slope. Um, since 1996, there's been a massive increase since its implementation, and currently about 90% of U.S. corn, cotton, and soybeans are being produced using these genetically engineered varieties. And this all comes from selective breeding. Pretty much it has the same concepts as selective breeding, as in we need to engineer something that's able to survive and thrive in its environment and produce the best possible outcome. And this is more efficient than selective breeding just because of how you can target target the DNA and implement things quickly instead of over taking multiple generations. And also because you can target things better, it's a lot more accurate than selective breeding. So you get a better overall just quality of your product. Um, and these are also extremely innovative, these genetically modified products, because they're able to survive things like droughts, which are major weather events, or also things that'll eat your crops like pests. Um, there's the major problem of water scarcity, which is which constricts about 70% of potential yield losses worldwide. And that's a massive problem. However, now farmers in drier regions have drought tolerant plants where the seeds are basically genetically engineered with a trait that allows them to use less water. And as we can see in that bottom left picture, that's a Kenyan farmer, and his maize plants are genetically modified to be drought resistant. And then we also have the topic of pest resistance, because pests are a huge issue in our agricultural systems, and they affect around 10 to 16% of crop production, because that's all lost to these pests. And there's thousands of these insect species that threaten this food production. However, these pest-resistant genetically modified crops have been genetically modified, and now they're toxic to these certain insects, which increases the amount of yields. And basically, the major impact of this is that all of this reduces the cost of food, because when you increase the production, thanks to the herbicide and pesticide resistant crops, now you have the equivalent of an extra 122 million tons of soybeans and 237 million tons of corn. And obviously that's extremely helpful, because that's going to reduce the cost of food, and food availability drastically increases. But obviously, this is not great, as Patterson finds that planting the same crop in the same place each year when it comes to genetic modification actually zaps this nutrient from the earth, and it leaves the soil weak and unable to support this plant growth. And due to that poor soil structure, that's basically unusable at that point. Farmers are forced to use things like chemical fertilizers, which are worse for the environment, and that's like one of the major downsides of these genetically modified organisms. Um, these genetically modified organisms also have a major effect for you and me in our daily lives, because genetically modified plants and things are what we eat, and what goes in our grocery stores and what we buy. So this has a major effect on how much we spend on things like groceries, and also has a major effect on what we're putting into our body based on how these are developing. So just to go over what I've said one more time, genetically modified plants, they're able to survive major weather conditions. And because of that, now there's the increased yields, which helps to lower costs, and more people are able to access food, which is really what makes genetically modified plants so important. Thank you so much for listening.